Hey, hello, welcome to the channel. So I have a new exciting video. Today I'm continuing with my design cleanup pedal. So if you haven't seen the first video, go have a look. There's, as always, I'll add extra details um, into the video description. Uh, but I covered some interesting stuff there uh, in the first part. We went through the name thingy, we went through what the plan is, what are we going to do, what's the vision, etc. etc. So have a look. Uh, I'll do this all over again, just uh, with more detail. Now, where we left off, uh, uh, I had this section here. I tried out 3 different arrangements for this. Let's call it filter. It's just affecting how gain uh, is applied to our signal. You know, which frequencies are amplified more, um, and that kind of affects how our sound goes through the clipping section. Now, if you pay attention here, I added this section here, and I'll be talking about this in this video. So the difference only is I added this switch here, and I have 3 positions with these 4 extra diodes from the previous part. So I'm not going to change anything here. I just changed this part here. And what I've done here, I have 3 options. I have symmetric clipping, similar to Tube Screamer. Asymmetric clipping, we'll see how that works in a moment. Like super overdrive. And then we have symmetric with 2 diodes, which gives us a bit more headroom. We have more room before diodes are clipping. The output is going to be louder, hotter, if you will, and maybe that's what you need if you want to push your amp into more overdrive, for example. So it's very small change, but with this, now what we get is 3 options here times 3 options here. We have 9 different voicings of this pedal. Again, this is not complete. We'll have another couple of at least sessions with this to see what else to introduce. But for now, let's see how this works, okay? So here I kind of zoomed in to the clipping section, and if you notice here, and I kind of I lifted this off some other design, I think, this arrangement, to be quite honest. But this approach is interesting. So what we have here in the first position, all diodes are in the circuit. Now, that is a bit misleading because these 2 diodes will start clipping way before these here. So essentially, if you look at this highlighted part in blue is really like an open circuit. So we can just ignore this completely, and we get symmetric clipping with just these 2 diodes. I hope that makes sense. Now, if I change position here, I no longer have this connected to the rest of the circuit. This effectively takes these 2 diodes out of the circuit completely. But it's interesting here, the way this is, attached here. It's connected here. This essentially short circuits this diode here, and essentially only these 2 diodes and this third diode are used in this circuit. So that's how we get this asymmetric clipping. All right, And then finally, this one is actually not connected to anything. The most important part is that this one, these two diodes are disconnected. They have no effect on the rest of the circuit. This one is disconnected, and we only have these four in the circuit. So these two are clipping one, when the signal go is positive, and this one when the signal is negative. So finally, I'm just gonna change this slightly. This is pretty much the same breadboard diagram as before. I just removed diodes from here. I put these wires across and moved everything to the side. It's just easier to deal with this. So because you see, I marked these points where I'm going to just disconnect here this wire and connect it here, or I'm going to disconnect it completely for the option 3. And you can notice here from the previous video, I still have these 1, 2, and 3 options from the previous video. So in my demo that will follow shortly, I'll be changing these 3 positions, 3 options, but I also introduce these 3 options. I'll kind of switch between them as well. So just so we see that there is some difference in all these different voicings. Okay, let's get to it. that was interesting, that you found that interesting. I think all different voicings sounded, well, different, you know. This kind of a third option, uh, it took a while to get clipping. We had clean sound for a bit. Uh, what's interesting to see now, this is not complete circuit, obviously. Again, tone control is missing, and this is going to affect the tone a lot and how the final sound is going to, you know, what we get as a final sound out of the pedal. But there's also interesting things like maybe one of the options should be to possibly increase gain when I have this kind of arrangement with uh, four diodes clipping, you know. So mm, that's gonna be not the next video, maybe one after that. For the next video, I'll try to add tone control that will make sense, because that's what's important, something that makes sense. Now, what I'm trying to do is to use all these linear pots. The original arrangement for Tube Screamer uses D taper. Is it D taper? W taper? I'll check that out. But it doesn't really. You don't get control with linear taper the way, you know, is useful. At least useful enough. Okay, so that's something to have a look at. So anyway, look. Uh, let's see. I'll think about it for the next video. What would be, in my opinion, the best way to go? Okay. Until then,